right, time for our viewer outrage segment. Today marks the 2-year anniversary of the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy. We're asking, should the government have bailed out the investment bank? Here's what you said. Jacob from Vancouver. The government should have allowed more banks to fail. A bank should be a bank. I guess that's right. Joining us now is Jeff Bolton, radio talk show host, and Robert Shapiro, chair of the NDN Globalization Initiative. Jeff Bolton, should the Treasury and the Fed have saved Lehman?
Well, good morning, guys. So the answer is absolutely not. If you look at the orderly liquidation that should take place in the financial markets when we have the kind of problems that we did, you see confidence from the American public. The way you watch the markets every day, I watch people and look at the reactions to letting that business be orderly liquefied. It was the best thing to do, and we should have done it a lot more.
Rob, what do you think?
Well, I think it's kind of a remarkable position because we ran a natural experiment. We had a managed dissolution of Bear Stearns. We had a managed dissolution of General Motors, and the economy was largely unaffected. We had an unmanaged collapse of Lehman Brothers, and it triggered the worst financial global meltdown in 80 years. This is really, among economists, a no-brainer.
So, Rob, you would have opted for bailout nation. I just want to clarify. You say we should have bailed out. The government should have bailed out Lehman.
I think the government should have actively managed the dissolution of Lehman. It doesn't mean that they would have had to bail it out as they did AIG, which they had to do because of the consequences of the chaotic collapse of Lehman Brothers. We could have and should have intervened in the same way we did with Bear Stearns, in much the same way we did with General Motors. And indeed, the Treasury acknowledged its mistake within a week when it was forced to announce a $700 billion TARP program in order to stop the collapse of the global financial system.
Jeff, do you agree with that?
This is not a question that really is subject to any economic controversy.
Wait, hang on, let Jeff
it's
get
only
back
a matter of ideology.
Yeah, Robert,
Go ahead, Jeff.
I got to tell you that thank goodness economists don't run the world, because I can stack them up from here to Cleveland to tell you that we should have allowed that to happen more often. That's called capitalism. That's what this nation is founded upon. When you have people that come in and buy the assets of distressed corporations, regardless of their size, that's a properly functioning system. And the reason you're not seeing the U.S. economy grow right now largely is because consumers have lost all confidence in the Fed, in Congress, and in the president. And when you have these kinds of decisions, particularly when you pluck a company like Lehman Brothers out there and say, well, we're going to bail them out too, it tells the American people that we're not competent at a governmental level. And we can't afford to do that right now. The economy's in enough of a mess without that kind of meddling.
Rob?
Well, there's just no economics to that position. The fact of the matter is the government does intervene regularly when the consequences of not intervening are that enormous costs will be borne by people who are not part of the risk and profit calculus that collapses or not.
The problem
is not that shareholders and creditors of Lehman Brothers took a bath. The problem was the entire American people took a bath from the economic collapse and the worst recession in 80 years that was triggered, not caused, but triggered by the chaotic and unmanaged collapse of Lehman Brothers, which led to the financial freeze of the globally.
Robert, I disagree with you totally. If you're suggesting to me that Lehman Brothers is a single trigger for the meltdown, was the cause for everything that happened, then that's wrong. Because the truth of the matter is the fundamentals in the market before that were already difficult, and there was already great danger signs that were out there. Lehman Brothers got exactly what Lehman Brothers deserved. And back to watching people, 70% of the economic in this country comes from the American citizen. It doesn't come from the engines that you describe on Wall Street. And the truth of the matter is, until the American public gets confidence again in the ability of our government, our Fed, our Congress, and our president to operate competently, the economy's not going to grow. I don't care how many companies you bail out, it will do no good.
There is a difference between a trigger and a cause. The reason that consumers are not spending today is not that they don't have confidence in the government. The reason consumers aren't spending is that every month their net worth is declining because the housing market hasn't stabilized and their net worth continues to go down. It is a classic negative wealth effect, which people happy
Which
to
is
talk
driven
about
by
when
a
it was
lack
a
of
positive wealth effect.
Robert, listen,
Indeed,
these
the
kinds of
government
theories may
needs to
fly
take additional steps in order to stabilize housing prices.
Wrong.
That will be the single most effective thing that we could do to create a strong
We gotta
recovery.
go, guys. Thanks to both of you.
Yeah, I couldn't
Pleasure to be
disagree with
here.
you more.